Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, and we are getting ready to chat with Arlene, the founder of Soulful Yoga, a studio based up in the Hudson Valley. And we're super excited. I see she's here, so let's see what the buttons have in store for us today. Hi.
We did it! Hello, Yana. How are you?
Morning. How are you, Arlene?
I'm great, thank you.
So you
Yeah,
have
last time I tried to, I thought that I could broadcast from down by the lake because I wanted to kind of give you the idea of what we've been doing over the summertime, but Wi-Fi didn't help us there, so.
I know, it was such a beautiful background, and I was so bummed, and it kept cutting out, and I was like, "Oh, there she," it's
Yeah,
so
I know. I'm so sorry.
technology.
How do I turn off comments here? But hi, Paul. Hi.
I don't know. I'm not that good at this.
Okay. Well, we'll just let them roll then.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean. So just saying hello to everybody. And hi, New York Life Magazine. Thank you so much for
Hi.
having me.
Yeah. So you're in the studio right now.
I'm in the studio right now. We've got, our little famous mandala wall that we've created about 8 years ago. Actually, I think it's almost 9 years since we opened the studio.
Yeah, I was
So,
going to ask. So thank you for chatting with us today. We're chatting with all our partners. And so
right.
shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the magazine. And it's only because of studios like yours that we're able to do what we do. So we appreciate it. And, it's hard asking people for help in these days, especially, everyone's kind of struggling right now. And you
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
we're like, yes, we can support you. We'll be a partner. And so thank you so much for doing that. I really,
Well, thank you. Thank
it
you
means a
for
lot.
allowing me to have a little platform to share what we do here. So I appreciate that as well. So thank
So
you.
tell us about your studios. So I'm curious. So you've been open for 9 years now, is that
Yeah.
right? So how
Mhm.
long? So you were open. So at least you had your business running before it
Yeah,
happened.
I mean, yeah, I did, but about 3 years ago, we expanded and we opened up a secondary studio where we had aerial yoga. We moved a lot of the Pilates
Yeah.
and bar and um, restorative classes over to that other side because the other studio is a heated studio. And there was
Okay.
always an issue with the heat and then turning it off and turning it on. So we were doing so well at that point that expanding just made sense, right? And, this is going back about 3 years before the pandemic hit, right?
Okay.
So, and I think probably the year before the pandemic was one of our best years that we've had.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy how things can change. Ooh,
Yeah.
did my video end? Am I still on with you?
No, you're still good.
Oh,
You're still good.
okay. Because something said it ended. Okay. Um, so unfortunately, during the pandemic, because we were closed for almost 8 months, I couldn't really afford to keep both spaces.
Right.
And the biggest problem with the aerial yoga was cleaning those silks, and
That's right. Oh my
and
God.
we
Yeah.
only had 8 of them. So to
Yeah.
social distance, we could only have 2 people in a class. So it kind of was like, what are we going to do? And unfortunately, we did put a big investment into that space and then kind of had to let that go. But, staying on a positive note with all
Yeah.
of this, I'm
Yeah.
just so thankful and happy that we got through the pandemic. We got a little bit of aid from the government.
Yeah.
We've been able to keep live online classes going. We transitioned to a whole outdoor. I mean, I don't even know
Right.
how, sometimes when you're put in that mode of survival, you just kind of hop to it, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, how am I going
Make
to
it work.
change this? Yeah. And so really nice for us is
Yeah.
one of our clients ran Orange County Parks up here. So he was coming to the studio already and he offered the Arboretum in Montgomery, Plum Point, like all these different locations for us to start doing outdoor classes. So we just kind of just transitioned right into that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, springtime was coming when the pandemic hit, so we were able to get outside.
Yeah.
And then we had a stand-up paddleboard business already for about 4 years,
Right.
and that became like the main source of income for the studio at that point. because
Amazing.
people wanted to be outside. They wanted to social distance, and paddleboarding is just phenomenal for that. You can just throw an anchor in and be,
Yeah.
far away from the other person and be outside and still be able to get that bond with and connection with your community. So I also wound up building an outdoor yoga platform, which is where I was trying to do that interview
Right.
from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big. It fits maybe like 8 to 10 people, but it was another option that we just kind of threw out there, and it was able to get us through,
Right.
So listen, we're still in the middle of it, right? Like
I
things
know.
are not back to normal yet. And I think that all we can do as yoga practitioners is to remember that nothing is permanent, right?
Yeah.
Everything changes, everything is moving. And maybe we're going to have a different type of, situation here at the studio. Maybe we won't have as many classes. Maybe, many of the classes will be outside. So it's like, you just kind of have to, I think from practicing yoga for 30 years now for me, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I'm like dating myself here, but I've learned that whenever you're in that state of resistance, it's just a suffering. So
Yeah.
you need to just go with what is happening and do the best you can, show up. And listen, it wasn't that easy to show up in the beginning. It
Yeah.
was a lot for, I think, most
That's,
people.
and that's what I was going to ask you. How, and I'm personally interested in this because everyone deals with it, if it's on a professional or on a personal level. How do you get through those moments when, like, you're just, I mean, and I don't know if you have, I'm sure you do, you're human, when you're just like, how do I make it through this? Like, what is the thing that you go to, or what did you go to that's new? I always want to know.
I think we all probably cried a lot during the pandemic. So getting out the emotion kind of
Yeah.
helps to just cry, right?
Yeah.
So get that out.
You're like,
And
check,
then,
I cried.
yeah, I definitely cried.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people cried.
Yeah.
So it's that, the fear of the unknown, right? It's that fear of what's happening next. It's uncertainty. We're kind of stuck in this space of uncertainty now.
Yeah.
And I think really the only thing we can do is ground ourselves, right? Grounding and being present. And that's all about what yoga is about, right? It's be right here in this moment and don't worry about what's happening next.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way I got through it, was to take one step at a time, show up when I could, teach out of my house, throw my dog in another room when she was barking, during the videos, and just, listen, our online presence is not professional. It's like it's like this, we're in the yoga studio and sometimes the AirPods don't function, and so we're still dealing with not really being that tech savvy, but we're doing what we can to keep everybody connected, which I think is the most important thing. And I'm just glad that I was able to be here. And it's so nice to hear from clients that you got me through the pandemic, and thank you for being there. That's like a beautiful thing.
And that keeps you going, because like when you have those moments, like, and I don't know if you ever sat there and said, should I keep doing this?
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden you get that email and that one little nudge, like, thank you, or this reminder. And then you're just like, okay, that's why I'm doing this.
Well,
like,
it was almost, to be honest, if we're being really, transparent, there was a time where I said, can I do this? Not how am I going to, like, can I, because financially it was a lot. I paid my rent through the whole thing. I wasn't somebody who didn't pay rent, like that's just who I am as a person though. I just don't want to ever feel like I'm not doing my part, so, I mean, we did get a little bit of a break for like those first few months. Like I didn't have to pay the whole rent, because we were completely closed. So it's like, what are we paying for here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fortunately enough. And then, like I said, there was a lot of praying, a lot of meditating, and a lot of just, actually, I think my superpower is the ability to manifest something,
That's
so
a great one.
yeah. So I just manifest and I say, we're going to make it through this. I'm going to get to this next space here. And, I just went straight forward with build it, even in a time when lumber was probably at the ultimate high in prices, I built a deck. I just said, I'm going to build a deck.
Yeah.
Build it and they will come, right? Like,
Yep.
and
So
I built a deck outside, and I put a dock in,
yeah.
so that I can do my paddleboard classes, you know, right out of the back of my house. So, fortunately for me, in the middle of the pandemic, I wound up buying a house on a lake. So it was perfect timing because I was segueing right into this, you know, I don't know why I would buy a house in the middle of the pandemic, but
a lot of people did.
It just happened. I just drove by and it happened. So,
there was a meme that went out, and it was something like, if you didn't buy a house, get a puppy, or have a baby during the pandemic, what did you do? You know, it was like a thing that you had to do. You know, I live in New York City, so buying a house wasn't really an option, but I got a puppy, so I was like, oh, okay, I participated in it.
Well, it was really nice to also see like a big surgence of people coming from the city too. You know, they came, like I had people coming out on the paddle boards from New York, from Rockland County. They would even take the, you know, the bus out for the day to just come and go out on the boards just to get out of the city, you know, so.
And I think that's really important. And that's why I love sharing these conversations, because I was in the city during the entire pandemic. And I grew up here, so I saw the shifts. Obviously, there was shifts everywhere, but it was dramatic, the shift. And now it's sort of going the other way, where it's almost too much of everything, you know? So we're adjusting here. But I remember just needing to, like, I'm not really a nature person, I'll be honest. Like, to me, I'm a city person. I grew up in a city. I'm a here, but I was like, get me out of the city. Like, I needed to breathe. I felt suffocated.
The energy was unbelievably different. I lived in the city for 15 years. So when I went back after the pandemic, I could not believe how, like, the entire, and I went during like Thanksgiving week, when it's normally like you can't walk in New York. And no one was out. Like, it was really kind of scary. You know, it was like a really different vibe.
It's so different. And especially, we left the city and we're up at a farm recently. And I mean, I encourage everyone in the city, if they have an opportunity, especially to first support the local studios that are upstate. You're in the Hudson Valley, correct?
Yep. And we're about an hour north of New York.
And that's perfect. That's a very feasible amount of time, and to just spend the day and be out in nature and just reconnect. I mean, now the energy in the city's, to me, a little bit different. It's almost frenetic, you know, because everything's open and people are like, we need to be out and spend money and do this, which is good on one hand, but on the other hand, that's overwhelming too. So it is interesting, and I'm so happy that people, you know, like studios like yours exist out of the city, so we can go and get.
Well, how's the studio vibe in the city? Are they starting to open again, or?
Very limited. And I think one thing that's really interesting, as I chat with all the owners, you know, studios in the city are much smaller. So obviously, with the distancing and all the protocols in place, you know, their class capacity is just minute.
And I'm sure the rents are astronomical.
They haven't tested any rents. So, you know, studios that used to be able to fit 20 people with huge classes and people sweating and next to each other, now it's like 10, you know, and that hurts the studios. And every time a studio would close and I'd see it on Instagram or I'd get an email, it hurt me, you know.
It's heartbreaking. Because because being a studio owner is a labor of love. We don't do this for the money, you know. It's like, that's not why we do it. We do it because we feel like we have a voice, we have something to share. And that, you know, for me especially, I feel like yoga has helped me so much in my life. I mean, being a parent, being, you know, a wife, being an ex-wife, like, you know, all these things that kind of you transition through in your life. It has been really the backbone of my, you know, getting me through tough times. So, and I really feel like it's everybody should, if you haven't gotten back into your studio, at least get online, like show up for yourself. Or do your own home practice, you know, if you've got a strong enough practice. But it's really important to still keep doing it. You know,
I stopped completely with my practice at one point and I've been practicing probably for about 15 years. And, you know, every day at least something. And I stopped.
Hi, Louise. I have to say hi to Louise. She's
and I stopped completely. And it was for about 3 weeks, which didn't feel good in my body or in my mind or my spirit or anything. But I was getting depressed and I wasn't doing, you know, and finally I said to myself, I was like, you have to just do something. And I told myself 20 minutes a day. That's it. No matter what it is, if it's rolling on your mat or taking a nap, whatever, just
Mm-hmm.
do the thing. And it just, even just those 20 minutes just completely transformed my day, and it was this one thing that was constant and comforting. And, it was one of the things where I said, why did I stop doing this? It's like, I love doing
Yeah.
this, but when you're in the thick of it, you sort of get lost and forget.
And
So,
even pranayama,
yeah,
and a lot of times, like, that gets lost in the sauce with vinyasa yoga classes.
yeah,
But I've kind of started pulling that pranayama back in, like, let's breathe, let's get a full, deep breath, because we need strong lungs right now.
yeah,
We need to be strong. So, even just doing a little bit of breath work is going to be really beneficial
yeah.
to connect to yourself, right?
And
So,
especially since it's so interesting, since all of this, it's a respiratory disease. So the breath became this thing all of a sudden where it was no longer a comfort. All of a sudden it became this thing where you couldn't breathe near people and you had to cover yourself.
yeah,
So when you're home and you could have that moment alone and practice your pranayama and your breathing, even if it's just literally just sitting and just breathing,
yeah,
it's so, I'm going to go do it right after this
yeah.
call.
I know, right? I mean, it's like you don't even think about it, but like, when's the last time? I mean, for those of you watching, that you really sat and took a deep breath.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been holding our breath because we're like, what's happening next? Like, when is this gonna, when can I actually take a deep breath again?
Yeah.
And when can I breathe next to somebody?
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I even allowed?
Yeah.
So it's something that we need to kind of check in with, I think, for sure.
Especially now, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so great with the online classes and everything. Do it in your home, do it on your mat, do it with your dog crawling all over you. Just do it.
You just inspired me. Maybe I need to do like an Instagram live once a week or something with some pranayama work just for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That might be something good to do, just to offer to the community.
I think it's a great thing, and one of the things I love about it is it's accessible. People have a lot of
Everybody can
notions. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we can all breathe. But we
Yeah.
have a preconceived notion, a lot of people do, of what yoga is and who can do it, but we can all breathe, So just if it's 5 minutes a day, and it's easy and it's, it will just be
And really just as simple as almost doing just a 3-part breath. Like, breathe into your belly, into your lungs, into your heart, out from your heart, through your ribs, and through your belly.
Can we do it right now? Can we do one right now?
Sure.
Let's just do
Well,
one.
that type of a breath. Yeah, let's take a seat.
Okay.
And just close your eyes and just let your attention go inward for a moment here. And the first thing we want to do is really ground ourselves. So feeling your seat connecting, feeling your shoulders begin to melt a little bit away from your ears. And thinking about just really allowing yourself to fully inhale, right? So we're going to just, especially as women, we suck our bellies in all the time. So let's really push out the belly on the inhale. And then pause for a moment. And without exhaling, take another sip of breath up towards your lungs. Another sip of breath up towards your heart. And then a full exhale out the same way you came in, from heart, ribs, belly, and then emptying. And see if you can go all the way to the end of the breath. Really let it come out completely. And do that again. Breathe into your belly, into your ribs. Feel the expansiveness outward through the ribs, up into your heart. Feel that lift of the heart, and then back out. Let's take 3 more breaths, and you can even do that just on your own, breathing in. Maybe let it be more of a flow, fully in, fully out.
think I might have lost you. There you are. That
There
was
we go.
beautiful. Thank you. So I didn't realize I was clenching my jaw.
Yeah. Yeah, like the softening of your face, letting your tongue release from the roof of your mouth, really feeling the shoulders release, like just really getting in contact with the earth.
Yeah.
Super important. I hope I didn't get cut off in the middle of that. Did you hear it all?
I did, and then it was quiet, but I was just breathing, so it was fine.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
then
I opened my eyes
eyes.
and I saw something on the screen, so I was like, oops.
The computer's like, you need silence now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know you're busy, but I just wanted to, I ask everyone this question because I just love hearing people's response. Describe what it was like when you taught that first class back, like after being closed and you were in the studio or you were just in front of a group of people. Just describe what that feeling was like.
Heartwarming. Yeah, I would say heartwarming. I mean, it was like when you teach online, something gets lost with the connection between people, right? And when you're in the presence of other people and in a room,
Right.
there's just this energy that's there that doesn't exist through a computer screen.
Right.
So for me, it was almost like filling up.
Mm.
I was being filled by, you know, because when you offer as a teacher, you give a lot of yourself, you know. So the interaction with the students is what really ignites us as teachers to be able to give and receive.
Mm.
Oops, I lose you again.
No, you're good.
The giving and receiving, just like the breath, that giving and receiving.
Right.
And yes, you know, you can get, you know, a connection online as well, but it's just a different,
Right.
it's a different feeling altogether.
Right.
So it really, for me, was so heartwarming, and to see the same faces back too,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And yeah, there's still people who are not back, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's kind of moving at their own pace and with what they're comfortable with. So
Yeah.
I think as long as we're all healthy, really, that's the most important thing, right?
Thank you so much. So we want everyone to
you.
visit your studio. Are you still offering SUP? Is it stand-up?
SUP is now, the season has ended.
Okay.
So we're not doing it now, but we start up in usually in May and we go all the way through the end of October.
Okay.
We didn't, we stopped mid-October this year because it started to get cold and we got a lot of rain and flooding.
Mm.
So the water got a little bit colder. So we kind of just, we usually do, last year we did a Halloween paddle where we all dressed up in costumes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if the weather's nice, that might happen. We might do some little pop-up thing, but it's going to depend on the weather, really.
Right.
At this point, it's a little scary with the weather, you know. So, but yeah, we'd love to have everybody come visit us in the summertime. It's just such a great, beautiful experience. You can check out our website just to see the pictures of what Walton Lake is like up here. It's a lake that doesn't have any boats on it.
Oh, wow.
It's very peaceful. There's not a lot of waves. Pretty much anybody can do it. Our paddleboards are really thick and very stable. So even the biggest novice can come, as long as you know how to swim and you have some sort of comfort in the water. I mean, we do have life vests and stuff, but
yeah.
I think generally you're going to want to have a little swimming experience if you go out, just so that fear is not there.
And I think that's important to tell people that it's on a lake. The first subclass I ever took was on the ocean.
Yeah, that's very difficult.
And
especially to do yoga, you know, you're trying to balance but you know.
I mean, it was it was kind of protected. It was like in a little, I guess, a bay. My nature references are, it was slightly enclosed, so it wasn't crazy ocean, but it was still, you know, moving.
Even just a bay is not easy, you know. Like I've taken my board to New Jersey and done out on the bay there, but you're still getting the boats and the waves, and you at any point can get kind of knocked off your center, where this is like very beginner friendly. Where we do it here. So and you could take it to whatever level you want. We've got people doing headstands on the board and you know, big back bends with leg lifts. So like there's that, but there's also just relaxing and just being in touch with nature. And I think really the best part of it is that we get to tune into our creativity, you know, when we're connecting to nature, you know, so
love it.
It's a beautiful experience. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you. And thank you so much for allowing us to have this platform to connect. And I'm going to be teaching at your
Yes, thank you
your
for
festival
reminding.
too.
So
Yeah.
we will be doing a winter wellness online. It's online this year, and you're actually the first person. I'm going to send you an email with confirming
Oh, okay.
time this week. So
Yeah.
you are kicking off our festival on Friday, December 4th. This is Saturday. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you'll be offering a session, and we've invited our studio partners to offer a session. This will be a free event for anyone, and we hope to showcase, you as a teacher and your studio, so that people learn about you and then take your classes and become part of your community as well. So everyone will
Yeah. And I
hear.
think I'm going to be offering restorative for that.
I'll have to check. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do a gentle restorative, which is like a flow to open up the body, and then we'll do some deep like relaxation, because I think that's really what everyone needs right now. I think we're all kind of craving that.
Yeah,
So
I need it for sure.
yeah, so it's all levels. Anybody can join. It's not anything crazy vinyasa-y. It's going to be a really sweet and grounding practice. So.
And hopefully, it's a great thing to do in your home, so it'll be online. And if it's cold out, you can grab your blankets and do a nice restorative class in your living room.
Yeah.
With your puppies or your children, and it's all levels, as you said. So we hope everyone will join us. Thank you so much, Arlene, and everyone.
So nice to meet you.
And we will be sending you magazines soon. So the magazines arrive in a couple of weeks. So
great.
I'll be able to get our magazine at your studio.
Perfect.
Thank you
so much.
Bye.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.